Welcome to Startup Health TV, where we celebrate the entrepreneurs and innovators who are transforming health. I'm Logan Plaster. My guest today is Fox Holt, CEO and co-founder of Vigilant. Fox, always good to see you.
Great to see you, Logan.
Let's just educate our viewers. What is Vigilant?
So Vigilant digitizes the last mile of drug delivery by automating a lot of safety steps associated when nurses administer drugs that they prepare.
Okay, so let's paint a picture of the current challenge that nurses face. I know they face a lot of challenges in the hospital, but particularly around medication labeling. It's probably not something that a lot of people are familiar with.
Right.
So why is that a frustration?
Well, let's take an example. A nurse in an ICU needing to administer an infusion of norepinephrine. So they will go to the drug cabinet, they'll pull the medication, and then they need to calculate the number of hours to expiration in the day that corresponds with that hour.
Okay.
So like norepinephrine is a 96-hour drug. What's now plus 96 hours?
They have to do that manually?
Manually in their head, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They have to grab a Friday green label, handwrite a mess of information on there.
Wow.
And there's so much opportunity for error. If they grab the wrong label, infections can happen. If they don't fill out the labels, then which is happening 60% of the time, 70% of the time, they can accidentally miss the wrong pump and start the wrong pump, which has happened.
They just don't label it all because they're overworked, understaffed.
They just don't get to it.
Yeah. How did you get into this?
Well, I got pulled in from one of the co-founders,
Okay.
but generally, I had a loved one who experienced a medication error
Okay.
around 20 years ago, and the amount of frustration, anger that happens, because these should be the best of the best in the healthcare industry, and these nurses, they're just overworked. They have so many of these manual processes, and it was really near and dear to me, and I wanted to help make sure that nobody experienced the kind of frustration from a little bonehead decision move like this, right?
So we've got the old school way. We've got handwritten notes on stickers. We've got mental math, figuring out when a drug expires, multiple days in the future. Now, what's the Vigilant method?
So Vigilant installs a software and a printer in every single med room. And so once the nurse usually is going to their spot where they have all the labels, they grab our scanner associated with our printer, they scan the medication barcode, and outprints all the labels they need, color-coded in order with information pulled from various sources to help them make sure they don't make mistakes.
Yeah.
There's a terrible accident at Vanderbilt where a nurse accidentally gave vecuronium instead of Versed, and in those situations our label says, hey, patient must be ventilated. And the nursing industry calls it speed bumps, right? We're providing speed bumps on these labels, which is the perfect spot for it. And we're reducing these never events, we're reducing CLABSIs, making it a lot more efficient for nurses, and nurses love it.
Okay. Tell me about the nurse response.
So usually we get an 80% increase in nurse satisfaction around administering medications.
Wow.
80%, and that happens across the board.
How have hospitals and hospital systems responded?
Spectacular. We are now in 20 of the top 40 health systems.
Wow.
We've got an evangelist customer nurse manager in each one of those systems that we are now going to the system level folks to say, look at this, it's a no-brainer, handwriting, mental math, let's automate this for them. And the nurses love it. Let's look at the results from these units and let's make this the standard of care.
How complicated is it to implement for the hospital?
Extremely easy. It's a full solution that we bring in.
Okay.
There's no lift from the IT team. There's no lift from the pharmacy team. White glove, the whole thing, and it's got a 1-month payback on it.
No way.
It's such an easy thing. We've made it tremendously easy.
Okay. You can't be the only company doing digital stickers. The labeling. Is it a crowded market? Is it you and then all handwritten, or are there some other folks attempting what you're doing?
There's one other company that has a solution in the operating room.
Okay.
But in other areas, nursing areas, we are the only company that provides an automated solution.
Really? Okay.
Everybody else is using these colored day of the week labels, and
it's just an old school system.
Yes, it's amazing.
So what's next? What are you hoping for out of the next 6 months?
We got to knock down a couple systems, right?
Yeah.
We're
Just
working on
sales,
some
sales,
systems and get into the rest of the 20 of the top 40 health systems. We've got a great team. It's what's really exciting, Logan, is the word of mouth happening. It's people starting to reach out to us. Hey, I used this while I was a travel nurse at XYZ hospital. Now I'm
That
over
would be
here.
huge. Yeah, a lot of movement in nursing.
And that's awesome to see. It's not just us banging on the doors, You need to try it. Just try it. It's them now starting to come to us and really having some of the industry experts say this should be the standard of care.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason this should not be the standard of care.
Are you seeing a macro shift in the conversation you have the nurse level, obviously, but then at the administrator level, when they're thinking about their priorities, you've got obviously cost and outcomes, but also nurse satisfaction. Are you seeing a shift in priorities?
I think that shift happened, 6-9 months ago.
Okay.
And so, had we been trying to sell our product, pre-COVID, it would have been a tough slog.
Okay, because of the emphasis on well-being
for the nurses,
provider well-being.
Right. I mean, the number of systems that have had nursing strikes is really high, right? And there's no silver bullet that's going to fix nursing. So we got to figure out, we've got to make their jobs easier, pay them more, and and just provide a lot better environment for them.
Yeah.
And this is just one tactic that I believe every system should deploy. Might be a little biased, but it's an easy win. Nurse morale is something else that just pops. They love it.
Yeah.
And so it's just a win for everybody. Patient safety, infection control, the nursing, the finance people, everybody wins.
I interview a lot of founders. You're unique in terms of this idea of the quick win. The idea of pay you back in a month. 85% increase in satisfaction. It's like this should be a relatively simple decision.
Yes, it should. And we provide free trials where you don't need to work with the IT. We just have a 10-minute conversation with a nurse manager, and we can have it deployed in a trial in 2 days, train the team in 15 minutes and during a nurse shift change.
Wow.
And
easy.
There's no barriers, right? So please, nurse managers, just call us, give it a try.
Yeah.
Your team's going to love it. And
do they go straight to your website?
Yes, go straight to the website. Vigilant Software.
Software.io. Vigilantsoftware.io. It's awesome. You get to hear a lot of nurse stories. Any that stick in your mind?
Oh, so I was installing it at a very large, prestigious hospital in LA, and it was a little bit after COVID, and I had a nurse kind of tear up because she was like, "This would have helped us so much. I wish we had this." And she, obviously it was an emotional time for nurses, so that didn't happen regularly, but just seeing the happiness, the joy that the system brings to them. It seems like a lot of technology is being shoved down nurses, right? From the towers, academia, this is what we need to be doing. We have really worked hard to invent something with nurses for nurses. Awesome. And it's really so satisfying seeing their reactions.
It's great. Fox, thanks for coming by and giving me an update. I love how you're making lives for nurses a little better.
Thank you, Logan.
All right, take care.